The desert wind howls across the Red Sea coast, stirring waves of sand that have guarded their secrets for thousands of years. Beneath these shifting dunes, many believe lies one of the most astonishing mysteries of all time, the lost army of Pharaoh, swallowed by the sea in the biblical Exodus. For centuries, believers and skeptics alike have asked the same question: did it really happen? Was there truly a moment when the waters parted, allowing an enslaved people to escape one of the greatest empires the world has ever known? Or is it simply one of the most enduring legends in human history? Archaeologists, historians, and scientists have been chasing the truth for decades, digging through ancient texts, satellite imagery, and the seafloor itself in search of real, physical evidence that could prove or disprove the Exodus. And what they found may finally begin to bridge the divide between faith and fact. It begins with a story nearly every culture knows: Moses leading the Israelites out of Egypt. According to the book of Exodus, Pharaoh's army pursued them into the wilderness until they reached the Red Sea. There, the waters miraculously divided, allowing the Israelites to cross. When the Egyptians followed, the sea closed in, drowning Pharaoh's chariots, horses, and soldiers. For centuries, many viewed it as myth, a moral story, not a historical event. But that assumption began to change in the late 20th century. Scientists started examining the geography of the ancient Near East with new technology, and the results raised eyebrows. Could the Exodus have taken place not across the Red Sea as we know it today, but through a body of water called the Yam Suf, the Sea of Reeds, in the eastern Nile Delta? The Hebrew term Yam Suf doesn't necessarily mean the deep Red Sea. It could refer to marshy lagoons or shallow lakes that once covered the region. Ancient maps reveal that thousands of years ago, the delta was crisscrossed by waterways, now dried or shifted. If a strong wind were to blow for hours in just the right direction, something meteorologists call a wind setdown effect, it could push water aside, temporarily exposing land. NASA scientists, including Carl Drews from the National Center for Atmospheric Research, actually ran computer simulations showing that a sustained east wind of about 60 miles per hour could cause such an effect in the northern Red Sea or nearby lakes, creating a dry passage several kilometers long. When the wind stops, the waters rush back. It's not magic, it's physics. And that natural explanation eerily mirrors the description in the Bible. But what about physical evidence? In the 1980s, stories began to circulate about divers exploring the Gulf of Aqaba, a deep extension of the Red Sea between Egypt and Saudi Arabia. According to these reports, explorers claimed to find coral formations shaped like chariot wheels and axles scattered across the seabed. Some photographs showed wheel-like structures. Others resembled decayed wood encrusted with coral. However, none of these findings were ever verified by the broader scientific community. Marine archaeologists point out that coral can take many shapes, and without proper excavation and dating, those discoveries remain speculative at best. The Red Sea is vast and deep, and organic materials like wood or leather from chariots would have long decayed in the saltwater. Yet the search didn't stop there. Archaeologists turned their focus to Egypt's own records, its hieroglyphs, papyri, and monuments, hoping to find any mention of an exodus or a lost army. Ancient Egyptian inscriptions are famous for documenting victories, not defeats. So it's unsurprising that a catastrophic loss might not appear in royal records. But one document, the Ipuwer Papyrus, caught researchers' attention. Dating possibly to around 3,400 years ago, the Ipuwer Papyrus describes chaos in Egypt, the river turning to blood, servants fleeing, and the land in turmoil. Some saw this as a poetic echo of the biblical plagues. Others argue it was simply an Egyptian literary lament about disorder. Either way, the parallels are hard to ignore. Meanwhile, other archaeologists began examining the route itself. If the Israelites truly fled Egypt, where did they go? Excavations in the Sinai Peninsula have uncovered ancient campsites, pottery fragments, and pathways that could match a large migration route dating to the Late Bronze Age, the same general period many scholars place the Exodus, roughly 1300 to 1200 BCE. Still, the evidence is frustratingly fragmentary. The desert erases history quickly. Tents, wooden structures, even human remains vanish under the sands within centuries. Yet even without direct artifacts, clues continue to surface. Satellite imagery has revealed faint trails in the Sinai desert, ancient caravan routes visible only from the air. Some lead towards the Gulf of Aqaba, where the biblical crossing is said to have occurred. Geologists studying sediment layers in the region have found signs of sudden flooding events and seabed disturbances consistent with the powerful backflow of water, though not definitive proof of a drowned army. Then, there's the question of Pharaoh himself. Who was the ruler during the Exodus? The Bible never names him, but scholars have narrowed it down to a few possibilities. Ramses II, the great builder of Egypt, reigned during a time that matches the Exodus narrative setting. His name even appears in the city of Pi-Ramses, mentioned in the text as a place where the Israelites labored. His mummified body lies today in Cairo's Egypt Museum, perfectly preserved as if waiting to answer the question himself. CT scans of Ramses II's mummy show he died of natural causes in his 90s, not drowned at sea. So, if Ramses was indeed the pharaoh of the Exodus, perhaps he survived while his army perished. Or perhaps it was his son, Merneptah. The Merneptah Stele, an inscription discovered in 1896, contains the first known reference to Israel outside the Bible, a people already present in Canaan by the late 13th century BCE. That single stone proves that by that time, a group called Israel existed, which means if they came from Egypt, their escape must have occurred not long before. Piece by piece, history begins to align with Scripture, not perfectly, but intriguingly close. And there's more. In 2014, archaeologists studying the ancient city of Pi-Ramses discovered that it had been abandoned around 1200 BCE, precisely when the biblical narrative suggests the Israelites left. Why was this powerful city suddenly deserted? The answer may lie in the Nile itself. Geological studies show that around that time, the branch of the Nile that fed Pi-Ramses dried up, forcing the population to relocate. Could this environmental disaster have set the stage for the mass migration remembered as the Exodus? In other words, the Exodus may have been less a single miraculous escape and more a historical migration amplified by natural disasters, memory, and faith. But then there's the enduring mystery of the sea. Every expedition that dives into the Red Sea or Gulf of Aqaba hopes to find something: a bronze blade, a wheel rim, a human bone, anything to mark the site of Pharaoh's lost army. So far, no verified remains have surfaced. The sea keeps its secrets well. Still, the absence of evidence isn't necessarily evidence of absence. In 2016, researchers from the University of Haifa discovered an ancient Egyptian shipwreck dating to roughly the same era off Israel's coast. Its wood preserved under sediment for over 3,000 years. If a single vessel could survive that long, then perhaps other relics might too, buried deep under layers of silt and coral in the Red Sea. And so the search continues. Scientists today use sub-bottom sonar scanning, magnetometers, and remote underwater vehicles to map the seafloor in exquisite detail. Each new scan could reveal an anomaly, a shape too regular, too structured to be natural. Each discovery brings a flicker of hope that we might one day find tangible proof of one of the Bible's most extraordinary tales. But maybe, just maybe, the real evidence was never meant to be found in bones or bronze. Perhaps it lies in the convergence of myth, memory, and science, the way a story written thousands of years ago still aligns with geological and historical reality. Perhaps the Exodus isn't just a tale of parting waters, but of human resilience, a record of a people escaping oppression, remembered through generations until it became sacred history. When you stand on the shores of the Red Sea today, the water glimmers the same way it did thousands of years ago. The wind still shifts the surface into waves that crash and retreat. And somewhere beneath that endless blue, the truth sleeps. Silent, ancient, waiting. The desert holds its secrets tightly. Every grain of sand could tell a story of an empire that rose, ruled, and fell. And somewhere in that story may lie the remains of an army that chased freedom and was lost to history. Until the next discovery, the question remains suspended between faith and evidence. Did the sea truly part? Did Pharaoh's soldiers vanish beneath the waves? Or did nature itself, through wind and tide, shape an event so powerful it became the foundation of a people's identity? Perhaps the real miracle is that after thousands of years, the story endures, still burning in the hearts of billions, still pushing explorers to dive, dig, and dream. The Exodus may forever straddle the line between history and faith, but one thing is certain: humanity's thirst for truth will never rest. Somewhere, beneath the ancient waters of Egypt, the echoes of Pharaoh's lost army still call, a whisper across time, daring us to keep searching.